Well, as we've seen, the Brussels attack plan was kept secret from security services, but there was absolutely nothing private about the militants' choice of location and target. The first assault targeted a busy airport full of travellers, and it was carried out right under the noses of airport officials. So just how protected are we when we go through terminals, and what could be done to make us safer? Sky's defence correspondent is here at the screens with some thoughts. Alistair.
Adam, thank you. Airports nowadays, modern airports, are designed from the very off with security in mind. Architects will liaise with security details that work with the airport to make sure that security is built into the very fabric of airport terminals. This is Terminal 5 or 6 years old, at London Heathrow. So we're going to use it as an example. Now, when you drive up to the airport, the drop-off point, if you like, you come in here, you think you're very close to the terminal, but actually it's been pushed back over the years. The space between the drop-off point and the terminal is around about 30 metres, and that is a deliberate calculation because it's thought that the blast radius from a car bomb is about 30 metres, so it keeps the cars away from the main terminal building. One other thing to note about this picture, and it's not quite perfect with Terminal 5, but other airports around the world have this feature in, and that is landscaping. It looks nice, it looks pretty, but grass banks also act as a dampener for any explosions. Right, a number of London airports we've got in the screens here. This is London City, this is Stansted Airport, just north of the capital, and Gatwick Airport, the second biggest airport in the UK. All of them very busy. What they've got in common, though, is glass. It's a real modern feature of designing new airport buildings, but it can be a killer. Glass, fragmented into shards, can literally kill people inside if there is a bomb outside the terminal. So the glass nowadays is reinforced, so it shatters into smaller pieces, not into shards, and it's also fixed very deliberately into the metal parts of the structure to make sure that it doesn't get pushed out by a bomb blast and become effectively a moving wall. So let's go into the terminal, in particular the check-in area, and this is really the softest part of the airport when it comes to security. Big, wide concourses, a lot of people milling around. People, security, don't know who they are. But there are certain features in there that you might not notice. The pillars, the columns that hold up the roof, for example, can also act as blast deflectors. Visible policing stepped up in London and elsewhere around the UK after the Brussels attacks can be a deterrent. Sniffer dogs, not used that much in the UK, but used around the world, can detect explosives in luggage. This is a modern feature that is all about customer satisfaction, the customer experience, but actually reduces security. It's the self-check-in that we've become quite used to at airports, in some cases self-bag drop. What it does is it removes human interaction by an airport official to the passenger, and people can be trained to notice and to spot certain patterns of behaviour, perhaps amongst terrorists. So it removes that eye-to-eye contact. We then move on to passport control, the bugbear for a lot of us travelling through an airport. It gets very congested, doesn't it? But this is where actually airports are at their most secure. We're very familiar with the X-ray machines that you go through, both the baggage and in person. We're very familiar with the development of airport security because of recent terror threats, not necessarily wearing your shoes as you go through, a limit in the liquid that you can take through. Those are reactions to terror attacks. But these are all static. They're known about, and they can be bypassed by terrorists with a bit of thought. We've been seeing something in here today that is far more covert. It's the only piece of equipment of its kind in the world, and it can pick up a gun or an explosive belt underneath clothing whilst people are moving around an airport. Have a listen to this.
In essence, it's a highly sensitive camera that can detect any object concealed under clothing. That could be a weapon, as you see here.
So this is a submachine gun that's across the chest.
It's very clearly visible on the screen. It could be explosives, as you can see here, again, very clearly visible.
And this is on his back. He's got them tucked in.
So he has the gun at the front, the explosive at the back, and you can see that he's wearing a thick jacket, and the camera has absolutely no problem distinguishing those concealed objects through that jacket. There is equipment in airports that you see where people stand and they put their hands up, and it can create imagery such as this. What this technology will do is it's mobile, it's flexible, it's rapidly deployed.
Scan people on the move.
Exactly right, exactly
without
right.
them knowing about it.
So technology such as this is used often to protect highly secure locations. When you're talking about softer targets, softer locations, it's really important that you don't get in the way of people's natural movements around those locations.
Underground station, airport terminal,
shopping malls, public events.
sports stadiums.
Exactly right. Really important that the throughput of people is not disrupted, but you do get this kind of protective technology in place.